We spent about 2 grand on our wedding, but the average was 17,500 for 1996. So y'all married 2010. The average cost of weddings $27,000, and in 2025 the average cost is $36,000.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Two Couples, One Podcast. I'm Jenna. We've got here with me the lovely, beautiful Miss Nut Lover. Oh, Melissa, sorry.
Hello. I do love nuts, so that's good.
Um, Sean. We've got my husband, Sean, and we've got Miss Melissa's husband, John, here with us, also known as BBG. Welcome in, everybody. We're talking about weddings and marriage today. Look at us go, guys. We're doing great things.
10 minutes
Hey,
later, we're
weddings are
through
cool.
the intro.
This one time at intro camp.
Yeah, this came up because I've been seeing a lot. I don't do a lot of social media. I'll be honest. I don't do TikTok and stuff like that, but I do watch a lot of YouTube. And this culture right now is insane. People are donating their plasma and stuff to buy flowers. They're taking second, third mortgages on their houses, taking like 30, 40, $50,000 loans for one day, for one party. It's crazy to me.
It's
I
silly.
don't get it, but
It's really stupid. I mean,
Well,
I
so
understand the idea that you want that big, beautiful, fancy wedding, and some women, that's been their dream their whole life. And that, I get it, but at the same time, I don't understand it. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
as a teenager, I never dreamt of my wedding. I dreamt of like, fast food, soda, friends, going to the mall. I don't get it. I don't know any little girl says I dreamed of my wedding my whole life. I'm sure they exist. I don't know them.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
okay,
I never
so
dreamed of that.
I guess um I wouldn't say that I dreamt of my wedding my whole life either. Um, but real quick statistic, is I find this so interesting and so funny because Smacky and we spent maybe I would say on the high end, and this is very very high, $10,000 max on our wedding.
It was
Um,
less than 5 grand.
I was gonna say, well, it depends on what all you include.
If
Um,
the
so
entire tab was less than 5 grand.
I happened to be listening to the radio the other day, and I actually ended up looking it up, and they're like, there is a direct correlation between spending, if you spend more than $10,000 on your wedding, you're more likely to get divorced, and I because of the financial strain it puts on relationships, and I was like, oh, so we did good by doing less than $10,000.
Side of that, though, we were reading too that if you spend more money on your honeymoon, you're less likely to get divorced.
Oh, we spent
Um,
close to nothing on our honeymoon.
yeah.
We spent more on our dog on our honeymoon than we did on our honeymoon.
Did
So I just Googled it. Um, Amount spent on wedding and divorce. Women who spend over 20,000 on their wedding were 1.6 times more likely to divorce compared to those who spent 5 to 10,000.
Yeah.
so
And
and
the
it's funny, so like my brother is getting married this November. Um, Super excited for him. Um, and he had did he say it to my mom? He either texted my mom or my stepdad, and he was like, "Weddings are expensive," and we were like, "Yeah, they can be." Yeah, I don't know what you expected if you were gonna be going all out, and they're going all out. They've she just did her bachelorette party at Disney, which I would have loved to go, but it just wasn't happening this year. Um, and there is so many like traditions and stuff that are coming out, and I'm like, oh, this is all new to even me. Like the whole having a first look. I don't know if you guys were aware that that's a thing. Apparently, that's a thing. We never did a first look on our wedding day because
What's
I
the first
always
look?
went by the
what
right the
what does that
tradition of
mean?
like it's bad luck. So first look is like you see each other right before you walk down the aisle and see each other in
Oh,
your.
oh, okay.
No, that's
I
bad
guess
luck.
that makes sense,
That's
making
bad
sure they
luck.
don't stand you up at the altar too. But that's crazy. Like you were saying, when did destination bachelorette and bachelor parties become a thing? Like that's new.
Mhm.
And now they're not even like a bachelor party. They're like week long things that the wedding party you're spending tens of thousands of dollars on. Like
Yeah.
it's incredible to me. Like a week long bachelorette party that costs like $10,000 per person. Like that's not even the wedding. That's just the before party. Like why?
Yeah, and I almost wonder if it's, I mean, obviously, I think it is generational, but also I think a lot of people are getting married older. So a lot of these people are single and they don't have kids because, like, anything that, I've been asked to do as far as like travel or do the bachelorette party, I was like, this is definitely not financially feasible. I've got kids at home. I've got all these other things. And I'm just very, like you said, it's interesting to spend like that much on like a whole entire week for your bachelorette. And I mean, more power to the people that can do that. It's awesome and I'm so happy for you. I'm not raining on your parade, but I definitely am like, where do these people have the time and the money for this?
I think it's
Yeah,
kind of selfish to expect that.
yeah.
Like for a bachelorette party, you do a destination. Like I was watching and people like, so first I gotta buy, I gotta pay for the hotel or Airbnb. I gotta pay for the airfare. I gotta pay for accommodations, and I gotta pay for like the special outfits they want, the photography. You're looking at $10,000 for a week away for somebody else, and then you have to go as a bridal party. You have to pay for your bridal dress, your shoes, your hair, your makeup. A lot of times, if they do a destination bachelor party, they're doing destination wedding. You got to pay for those accommodations. So people in your wedding party are spending, what was it, like $15,000
15 to
just to
20
be in your
grand.
wedding. That's a big cost.
Yeah, I ain't
I
paying
say
that.
just
You invite me
I
to your
know.
wedding. I don't expect to pay a dime except for your present I'm bringing you.
I'm talking about for the bridal
Well,
party, like,
even then,
groomsmen, bridesmaids, maid of honor, those kind of people.
yeah,
And
bachelor
then
party.
now,
I'm not, hey, I'll chip in for the stripper or whatever it's gonna be, but I'm not forking out 10 grand because you want to go to freaking Disneyland. It's like, hey, you know what? You paid my way, I'm in. But you want me to get a ticket? You want to leave my family behind so we can go and party at Disneyland,
that's what
Disney
a lot of people are
World?
doing.
You know, bite me.
Yeah, some of
Sorry.
these girls are going to like
Well,
Paris,
that's
other countries.
yeah.
that's not even taking into account the amount for the tux or the dress, because some of these bridesmaid dresses are 2-3 grand in itself.
The ring. Can we talk
Now,
about
what do
that
you
for
know
a
about
second?
the, yeah, the
I
engagement
mean,
ring?
there
The
are,
hopes of a ring.
well, not even the hopes of a ring. It's there are, and I listen to a radio station here locally that talk about this quite often. And there's a lot of women that will come on to the radio station and they say that if the man proposes to her and the wedding ring is not over 100 grand, they will say no. Why?
That's a house.
It, it's a
A
house.
house
That's
payment
two
for a
cars.
car?
Two
That's
cars
crazy.
nowadays. You could have two
One
cars
pickup.
or
I was
one
gonna
one
say.
nice pickup. I mean, I'm just saying for what you're gonna pay for a ring, that's gonna go on a finger. That if I'm gonna pay 100 grand, I better have a written contract that you're giving me 30 years of your life at the same time. So I got to pay on that for the next 30 years because it's a house mortgage.
Well, and the diamonds are such a hoax that it's such a false value anymore. I think I spent $200 on Jen's first set of rings at
The
most.
average, the rule of thumb for a wedding, for an engagement ring is actually there is a rule to it. It's supposed to be 3 months' salary.
Yeah. Uh huh.
That's supposed to be. I
The,
think it's
yeah.
ridiculous, but that's the
When,
rule of thumb is a 3 month salary because people don't make the same amount.
See,
when
yours
me and
cost me
Jen
about
got
4 hours
together,
of
I rented
work.
3 months of salary.
That gumball machine was awesome, man, but I just kept having to feed it quarters.
Well, my proposal was amazing. My proposal was amazing. My
Okay,
husband and I, we
I'm
had
muting myself.
our daughter was already a couple months old, and my husband came to me and he said, "I'm going in the army. I think we should get married. Think about it. Let me know." That was my
BAH.
proposal. I said yes. He came over. His mom bought a ring, and he brought the ring to me.
Are you ready for
QVC.
my story?
So that
Are
was
you gonna
my
tell the full
proposal.
story,
It
or
wasn't
are you
even
only
wedding
gonna
marriage.
tell
It's
part
like
of it?
think about
No,
it.
I'm
Just
gonna
think
tell
about
the
it.
I'm gonna tell the full story. Um, so my guy, my dude, homie over here, he was deployed to Iraq. And he was on Skype with me because FaceTime wasn't a thing yet back then. And he picks up. I was going to see if they had one from
I
dinner
started to
tonight.
look through. I saw an I do one. I didn't
Oh.
dig much deeper.
So he picks up a Taco Bell packet and it says, "Will you marry me?" And I started laughing in his face because I thought he was joking around.
That's not the full story. Keep going.
And that's
Damn.
so, but I did say yes. Okay, let's be fair. When I
Obviously.
realized that he was being serious, I was like, yes. And then he came home on R&R and he proposed to me at like multiple different locations without a ring, but with his dog tags. And then when he actually got home from his deployment with the ring, we were sailing on my mom and stepdad's boat. And he's like talking to me. We're having a whole conversation. I was laying on his chest and he's like he had said, do you really want to spend the rest of your life with me? And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, look down, stupid. And he'd been holding the ring for like a good 10 minutes. So that's
I had the ring open and sitting on her lap for like 10 minutes. But that doesn't even trump the whole thing, because even before that on R&R, because I came home right before Valentine's Day. So I went all out on a Valentine's Day. I told her it's the most I'll ever do for you on Valentine's Day. And I've lived true to that word ever since. And I got her a teddy bear, like a little glass teddy bear in a heart box. So her mom was out of town and everybody was out of town. So we staged a photo of me on one knee.
No, mom was in town. It was her idea.
Okay. I forget who we were trying to get with it. But we staged a photo of me on a knee with the heart-shaped box open. And nobody could see what was in it, her standing in front of me.
We made it better if she had been giving you the bird at the same time. it ain't big enough.
And they say romance is dead.
I ain't talking about the diamond either.
But yeah. So, how long? I know that you mentioned this before we started the podcast, but for all our listeners, how long have you, Melissa, and John been married for?
What, is that a throuple? You, Melissa, and John?
Well, I have two personalities, see, so it depends on which one you're gonna get. But with actually next Sunday, July 13th, will be our 29th anniversary that we've been married.
29 years of torture for her.
I know, for me, yeah.
But hey, what can I say? When you're a man, you're a man.
What does that mean?
Listen, I've been in 15 years of training and I'm still not prepared.
We're still working on taking the training wheels off, okay? It's okay.
Wow. Damn, man. 2 kids still using training wheels?
Yep.
Listen, this one had...
It's got the short stick.
It required extra molding and shaping to get him where I need him to be. So we need to... there's one training wheel left on still, okay?
It's on my right side.
What do you think about renewing wedding vows?
We talk about it. We can't afford it.
We do.
No, but I'm saying, as a whole, like having like another wedding, to renew your vows. What do y'all think of that? What's your take?
I definitely, well, obviously, since we're talking about how we want to do it, I think it's a great way to, one, recommit yourselves. But I think if you weren't able to like have a huge lavish wedding that you wanted and you come to a place where you can afford to do it and you want to celebrate that way by renewing your vows and having a big bash where you can celebrate the years that you've put in and renew, I think it's absolutely acceptable. And it's part of why we haven't done the renewal isn't just because of a money thing, but it's because I'm always like, well, I just wish that we would have, like, there's certain parts about what we didn't do with our wedding that I wish we would have done. And I'm like, if we do a renewal, this is what I want to do, like a honeymoon type thing, but I want pretty photos. And like, so yeah,
Well,
I can definitely see.
The reason we didn't have pretty photos is because our photographer was one of my brother's ex-wives, and they got into an argument. And my brother was our DJ, so she didn't end up showing up. So my best man's dad brought his camera and took photos.
We
And
did
then
get good photos, but
we did a potluck for the food, and then the firehouse we were in, um, uh, my father-in-law paid for the open bar that was there, and yeah, it was thrown together in like 2.5, 3 weeks. And it was my sister drove from DC to New York to make our wedding cake. She worked a 12-hour day, then drove 6 hours up and started making our cake the day of our wedding. So
Our wedding was nice. We spent about $2,000. We got married in his mom and dad's backyard. They had a pool, and they had like you walk up a hill, and they had like all these florals. It was so pretty, and we paid for the cake, which was like $300, and that was almost 30 years ago. My uncle did the flowers. He's a florist. My dad's girlfriend at the time did all the pictures. My cousin did the DJ. So, and his mom paid for the food. We did like sandwiches, like like a spread, like a buffet with sandwiches and salads. And they bought the champagne, and then we
Yeah,
paid. My parents paid
lots
for
of
the
champagne.
minister. So our wedding was pretty inexpensive, but it was really nice, and everybody had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you think of a
Everything was very
backyard, it wasn't just your average backyard. I mean, my stepdad had a green thumb. The only thing he didn't put in that backyard was the pool. Everything else, the palm trees. We had a huge hill in our backyard. It was 30 feet high. And it was at a slope, and at the top were houses. And at one point, my sister actually lived at the top. And so, in order for the grandkids not have to walk 25 minutes around the block to come back up the hill to our house, he built into the side of the hill this pathway, steps going up to a swing, and then steps going up to a long pathway across the top. And then at the middle, right where their fence was, a pathway of steps going up to that with a gate at the top. And then everything was flowers and bushes and plants, just plants. He loved
There
plants.
was a waterfall.
And yeah, he had a natural waterfall. Well, originally it was a natural. It ended up being a man-made because we don't know where the water went. We don't know where it came from. Uh, so we said it was natural. It was probably just somebody's broken water line that we ended up accidentally tapping into and having run down the hill. But it was nice. They had goldfish at the bottom, and then the pool. We had a fountain in the middle of the pool that sprayed water out, and it would change colors. And then they put an archway right in the middle of the pathway on the top of the hill, or on the middle of the hill where the pathway was, and that's where we actually got married. Was up on the hill where everybody was on the lower section, surrounding the pool and the patio area, and watching us from down below getting married up high.
We spent about $2,000 on our wedding, but the average was $17,500 for 1996. So y'all married 2010. The average cost of weddings $27,000, and in 2025 the average cost is $36,000. So it's quite expensive. It's going to factor into how many people you have and where you get married too. I know a lot
yeah.
of people right now, they're just doing that. People that can't afford it, they're going down to like the courthouse, getting married, and then having like a party or reception afterwards. Because venues are really expensive. $8,000 to $10,000 is what you're going to spend for a venue on average.
Mhm.
well. Our
Yeah.
venue got donated because of me coming home from Iraq. So the fire department that we used had just rebuilt their fire department because a few years prior, during 4th of July, they may have caught their own firehouse on fire. So they rebuilt it, and they built a beautiful hall as part of it.
Sounds like insurance fraud to me.
No, listen, I was surprised it didn't burn down sooner because of where they would launch them off and how close to the ground they're going up. But
It was a beautiful reception. I think what I struggled with most was we had a lot of people that said that they were going to show up, and so we had made a lot of the food, and like 90% of the people that said they were going to be there ended up not coming, and I'm like, great, not what
my
I
uniform
expected.
was so jacked up because I didn't bring all my Class A's there. So my uniform was all jacked.
Hmm.
But if you
Although
don't
I
know
do, I do go down in history as like the best sister ever because I got my stepbrother out of a final exam for the wedding. So he's like best wedding ever, hands down.
We also got married on a Thursday. So
We did.
Oh, we got married on a Saturday. It was also in the middle of summer outside, but California got the breezy weather because we weren't far from the beach, so it was really nice. But there were betting pools on our wedding day, seeing how long we were going to marry. I think the longest one was 18 months.
So it's funny
So
that
I
you
don't
mentioned
think
that.
anybody won that.
That's actually there were bets at our wedding too.
that's a typical thing in a Mackey
I
wedding.
don't understand why people do that. That's so mean. It's like,
It's terrible.
come on now.
My family has a high divorce rate, so that's a normal.
I
Like
mean, that's fair.
at one of my dad's weddings, I offered him $400 cash, and my brother threw him keys to his brand new Mustang and said it had a full tank of gas while the bride was walking down the aisle.
Oh my
And we said,
God.
"This is your last chance to run." So
Wow.
Yep, this is the family I decided to marry into.
I told my husband, I said, you can't complain. You willingly entered into this family. You willingly entered. That's on you. That's your decision making. That's your bad decision making.
Vice versa.
To be fair, Smacky's best friend did ask me. He's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to marry this one? Like, you can back out now. It's not too late."
that was days before the wedding.
It was.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a bachelorette party. I had a couple of friends over for one night because that's what bachelorette parties are supposed to be. I thought it was like one night and we each had a wine cooler, but we were all under 21 still. So, and then, but his was a little different. He barely made it to the wedding with alcohol poisoning. So,
I don't
yeah.
remember.
On his face.
I don't remember my bachelor party.
And I remember his bachelor party. I remember very well. I mean, I may not have been there, but I remember enough of the details from the outside.
Same. There's
Yeah.
pictures and all kinds of stuff. I think they were destroyed. Too much incriminating evidence.
I may have told Jen on the morning of our wedding that I loved her, but I didn't love her that much because she asked me to get up and do something, and I had a glass of orange juice and I didn't want to move.
And then he got mad because I took a bite of his ice cream and he said it was deceivery because I didn't tell him. He's still mad about it.
He did steal my ice cream.
Yeah.
We're still together.
I mean,
I know we both had cheaper weddings and we're all still married. So I mean, maybe there is something to it.
I can tell you my bachelor party. I remember probably about the first 15 minutes of it. That's all I remember. Well, and I remember bits and pieces. Like I'd come and go, blackout, wake up, like waking up in the shower. So my bachelor party was thrown by my soon-to-be father-in-law, and
And my cousins.
and on that day, my soon-to-be mother-in-law and I got in an argument, and she was threatening to have me arrested and all kinds of weird stuff, just losing her mind. So I was in a bad mood. So I show up, and the twins, her cousins, who are like 6'5", and they're ones you don't mess with. Like they've been in a lot of trouble, and they didn't care about getting in more trouble. So I'm sitting there. I've got a bottle of Goldschlager. It was given to me as a present, and it had a little special flask. And I'd never had it, so I took a shot with them. Then they took the bottle and took me outside and put the bottle in my mouth and held my head backwards and made me chug the whole bottle. And then sat me down and said, "Yeah, just relax." All right, cool. I don't know what time frame it was, but a little while later, I just know I'm standing back out on the patio, holding onto a rail, and the same two guys pin my arms behind my back, pull my head back, and put a bottle of Jack in my mouth. And I'm chugging a whole bottle of Jack. Wonderful. They sat me back down somewhere. I think I was inside at this point. A little while later, I feel myself being dragged outside, and the third cousin was involved. This is when the younger brother decided he'd show up, and he didn't get to see the first two bottles. So he assisted with holding the bottle in my mouth, as one was holding me back and the other was holding my head, and they put a bottle of Jim Beam in my mouth. and chugged that whole bottle. So I'm 3 bottles down, 15 minutes or so into this bachelor party, and I was done. Like, done. Somewhere during the night, I was put into a chair in a living room, and everything's, when you're drunk, everything's a blur. You see things here and there, a little bit of this and that, and there's music going, and somebody in front of me jumping around, and it's making me nauseous. And then I'm picked up and pulled out of the chair, which I've been told was the stripper, had grabbed me and threw me on the floor and went to straddle me. And I volcanoed, erupted, projectile all over her crotch and body. I don't know.
See, he didn't find anyone else
Trying to make a
attractive.
living.
From between
Make a living.
between there and the bathroom, I don't know how long it took, but I remember waking up in the shower, being held up by my soon-to-be father-in-law in a cold shower, and I'm constantly telling him, "I'm not cheating on your daughter. I love your daughter. I swear." And he goes, "Shut the up! I paid for the stripper, you moron." And she's right there she's right there getting cleaned up. Say you're sorry. And I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I'm not cheating on my wife." And then they put me to bed, and I'm pretty much woke up with food poisoning the next morning.
Yeah, he was in bed for like a week with
A
alcohol
week.
poisoning. He barely made it to the wedding.
I think
Great.
I think the primary people I went out with on my bachelor party were my dad and my brother, possibly my cousin, or we ended up at my cousin's house. But we went to a bar on a Wednesday night.
I'm pretty sure your sister went with you guys.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't remember. And then I remember the bar was trying to close, and we talked him into locking up and turning off the lights, but allowing us to stay there and drinking because it was my bachelor party. And then we ended up at my cousin's house.
Mm-hmm.
Remember very vague details. Like I remembered being in his garage like 2 years later.
Do you remember calling me while you were at the bar?
Nope.
No. He called me while he was at the bar. My sister decided to take over the phone. She disappeared 15 minutes later.
I know what bar we were at though.
Well, she met up with them because he was drunk as a skunk.
We went to go to Stella's, but Stella's was closed on a Wednesday night. If you don't know Stella's, Stella's has a ice cream joint and a bar, and they were closed.
Sweet and savory.
Yeah. So we went to a historic bar in the town.
Are you sure it wasn't? That you didn't start at Stella's?
We may have started at Stella's, but Stella's closed early, or they were closed when we got there. We may have started there.
Because I definitely remember Stella's being mentioned.
There was a Stella in there somewhere. Hopefully it was the shop.
There was, so in the town that I was in, there's only like 4 bars, and 2 of them are in walking distance.
Yeah.
And the one was cool enough to allow us to stay after closing, and that's all I remember.
So, what would you say do you personally think has held your marriage together? Like, i.e., everyone always says, "Oh, communication is key."
Kids and money. Having kids.
That's
Pick up our kids,
number
and
one reason
financially,
for
it's really hard to
divorce.
be single.
Wow.
It is. It is.
Oh, I love you too, but I'm just saying, like the
Damn.
two drivers. But
Point out, she goes.
She straight
"Oh,
up.
I love you too, but
This really came down to, bitch, you lose your job, you're freaking divorced.
no.
I've worked
But
a
financially,
long
it's, like,
time.
it's seriously, I mean, there were times that we have separated. I'm not even gonna lie. We've had our ups and downs. We've been through some really, some really hard stuff. We lost a child, and I mean, we've been through some really, really bad things together. And we talked and worked it out. But a big driver is too. We have kids together, so it's not that easy just to walk away. It's not like you can just say I'm done. Bye. It doesn't work like that. Divorce is long. It's expensive, and it's a really hard process.
Seems like
And same
nowadays
with
it is
finances.
easy to
It's
walk away
really
from.
hard. there's a lot of people now that are getting divorced but still living together because financially it's really hard to go. But I mean, so those are two of the things. But I mean, for us anyway, is we need our time together, but we also need our time apart. Like we can't spend a lot of time together because we end up just arguing. So
Hence why I
Yeah.
started streaming and playing video games and trying TikTok and all these other things. Is we've got to, I firmly believe that, the as we've gotten older, we have learned that, it's very important to be together, but it is also just as important that you have your time away from each other. And that doesn't mean, for those of you that are watching, that doesn't mean you hit the club and take off with the next girl or guy that you meet. That's not, getting your time away. That's like I have my own office.
hobbies.
This is my hobby.
Yeah.
This is where I go to get online and play games with my friends and just escape the realities of life. And then when I walk back out the door, it's back to reality. So I mean, please don't take what I just said as, you got to have your time away. That doesn't mean walk out the door and go to the bar or
No,
a
there's no
strip
reason to
club or
cheat.
something like that. You know,
I'm vehemently against cheating.
but you
I don't
definitely,
believe in second chances.
yeah, you definitely got to have your time to yourself to
Well,
do your hobbies and, kind of disconnect from each other just long enough to go back together and be okay. So, how was your day?
well, in New York, I had bowling, and down here, I've gotten into big into RC cars. Like last night was race night, and I leave here at 4, and I didn't get home until 12:30 last night.
Did you
Toss
win?
me on the couch and let me binge my shows and
Oh,
read a
I'll
book,
toss
and
you
I'm
on the
happy.
couch. Don't you worry about that.
I personally would say, I mean, I agree to some extent on the communication is key, but I think a big part of that a lot of people forget is that it's not just about communicating, but learning how each other communicate. So, like, something that Sean loves to say all the time is, "You're coming at me in the middle of a conversation." It's never in the middle of a conversation in my head, I promise. But he always thinks I'm coming at him sideways and that there wasn't something leading up to it, and there usually is, or there's been a little bit of a conversation that
It
I've had
doesn't
in
even
my head. And
doesn't
it
even
doesn't
have to be
always
an
make
argument. She'll be in the middle. We'll be doing something random, and she'd be like, "Yeah, like this, that, and the other thing," and I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Because she didn't realize that the past 2 minutes of a conversation she had in her head with herself.
yeah.
Same, I do
You're
that
talking
too.
about dog
Yeah,
food. And she's
Or
talking
I'll
about
just
the
space
color of
out
the
and he'll be
house.
talking to me and
yeah.
he's like, "What are you thinking?" I'll just be like, "What? Oh yeah, that sounds good." Like I'm not even paying any attention at all.
I've resorted to
I
just like
space it out.
yeah. Well, I like retrace my steps now. I'm like, "Oh, well you said this and it reminded me of this." And so then I started to think about this and that's where I ended up with this. And then he's like, "Yeah, next time can you just not come in the middle of a conversation?" But we've genuinely, especially over the last few years, we've had to like learn to um like I always feel like I'm nagging him and he's like, "Actually, I need you to tell me when I'm like doing something stupid and I need you to nag me because otherwise I'm not going to remember to do it." And it took us obviously like 10 years to figure that out. But
On the better side of 13 years.
But you
probably.
got there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like what I find I'm telling like other people because like I've had some of my friends that'll message me. They're like newly married or it's been just like 2 years or 3 years since they've been married and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm struggling with this." And I'm like, "Well, have you had this type of conversation with them? Have you actually said these words to them and sat down and had this conversation? Because if not, you're going to end up with resentment. The problem is you're not vocalizing all of the feelings, you're only vocalizing part of it."
And the thing to remember too is the longer you're together, you're no longer the same people. Like he's not the same person I married. I'm not the same person. We've been together for 30 years. Things that you want, life goals, things like that change as you get
Yes.
older and you communicate differently. You have different wants, different needs. So I can see going back to, renewing your vows. A lot of people do it because you're no longer the same person you were, even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You're different people. So you're recommitting to the person you are now.
Absolutely. And I think that, yeah, just, I mean, you have to
Well,
adjust with those changes.
a lot of conversations aren't being had on the front end either. Like
Yeah.
me and Barbie and Jen talked a lot about our parenting styles, how many kids we wanted, different key factors, how to discipline, how not to discipline. We talked about all that prior to. Um, and there are couples that get together now and they've never had that conversation, or
Mm-hmm.
we'll cross that bridge when we get there. No, it's too late at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, we got married when our daughter was 6 months old. We kind of just winged it.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a plan.
That's
It was
totally
like, okay,
fair.
she's here, so
Listen,
what
we
do we
had a
do?
plan. I'm not saying it was a great plan, but we had
I mean, we
one.
were
Yeah.
really young too, and it was just kind of okay. We have a baby now. We're getting married, and he went into the military. So, for the first time, for the first time I had ever left home, I'm now moving from California, where I have all my family and friends support, to Hawaii, where I don't know anybody but my husband. So it was a big adjustment. Being a young new mom, it was kind of scary. But we
Yeah.
made it. But it was hard. And you're gonna face hardships. I don't understand how people say wedding is, marriage is bliss. Bitch, no, it ain't. It is
No.
not bliss. I mean, there are times that yeah, it's great, but you're gonna hit bumps, and I think that's what is gonna make you or break you is how you handle those bumps together.
Yeah. Realistically, it should be marriage as a roller coaster.
It's like a blood sport. It's not a fun game.
It's
It
a
gets hard.
marathon.
Well,
Yeah.
marriage is a job. It really is.
It
I
is.
mean,
It is.
you get up in the
You
morning
gotta
and
put in
you
the
have a
time and the work.
routine, and you put in the time, and and you got to. There are things that happen, just like a job. You go to work and things happen. You got to act on the fly. Well, the same thing in a marriage. Things are going to happen unexpectedly, and you've got to figure it out. And you can't just give up on the other person because they're in a different mindset. Oh, the hell with it. We'll just skip it, or I don't feel like doing that. It's okay. Well, then I'll deal with it now. But yeah, okay. So it comes back to communication is one of the keys, but it's teamwork. It's
Yeah.
being a group, being a team together, and be able to overcome the stupidest and hardest and most gut wrenching times of your life. I, I I don't think nobody expects to lose a child, but when it happens, it took us into a very dark time. I can honestly say that my view on religion went right out the window after losing Christopher, and it took Melissa and I together to fight through it, and we went through things together that sometimes I look back and go, I don't know how we made it through that,
Yeah, exactly.
and then we look at our
Yeah.
daughter and be like, there's the reason. There's one of the biggest reasons what helped us get through it was having our daughter that we had to take care of, because if we just kept going the path, she was gonna suffer, and we weren't about to have that happen.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people tend to, when you hear the word teamwork, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that just means 50-50. It's not always going to be 50-50. There's going to be times that someone can only give 10% of themselves and you need to pick up that slack, and it can get very, very hard. Um, but those are the times that you learn to like dig in and really push past it. And I think that that's where a lot of, and I could be speaking out of turn, I don't know how everybody else handles things, but to me, it seems as though that need to put in the effort. Smacky.
I did nothing.
And you're
Both
gonna
of y'all.
have different percentages of different things. Like, John, he's the breadwinner. I make some money, but he makes a lot more. So it's like 90-10 for our finances. But when it comes to cleaning and cooking, it's 90 for me and 10% for him. So we flip the roles because, he works 60, 70 hours some week. I work 20 to 25. The last couple weeks I'm gonna work 'cause I've been sick, but that's a whole nother thing. But so we decide, he's like, I'll work and make the money, you take care of the house. So you got to kind of split those up. I can't expect him to come home, and there are people that do this. We know a couple that she expects him to do everything, to go to work, come home, cook, clean, and take care of her, where she doesn't do nothing during the day. That's fine if that's what they decided. I could never live like that. I couldn't just sit. I mean, yeah, sometimes I can't do much, but to expect him to do everything, I don't know how relationships like that work. You have to have a plan and decide what you're going to do within, with your life and your marriage. You can't expect everybody to do one thing and you do nothing. You have to put in, you're going to get in what you put in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
the
I
problem
think
with
Get
that
out what you put in.
relationship, it's not working out. And
well, and
it's very unfortunate.
that's what I was gonna say is, unfortunately, I mean, I will say poor Smacky, he's had to deal with a lot of 90% lately, just because of my health, and I feel terrible about it every day. But I think that the biggest thing that I've noticed with people that are walking away from divorces without there being a cheating factor, a lot of it just comes down to not being willing to put in that work. And I'm not saying that that's what all divorces are, because my parents divorced. So, and I know, I understand the reasons now. I understand what happened as an adult, but like um aside from abuse and cheating, and I think that there's a lot that, and I could be, like I said, speaking out of turn by saying this, there's a lot of people that just walk away much quicker than maybe they should, instead of just giving it a chance or learning to communicate better, or learning, okay, we need to, obviously something's not working, so let's adjust it and be open to therapy if that's what we need to do, or open to whatever it is to fix it.
Yeah, it's okay to ask for help. I mean, you're in it together as a partnership, but sometimes that third perspective or something, or just sitting down and talking it through, because you're going to come into hard times and there's going to be hurdles that you don't know how to cross. Because you're coming up against
Absolutely.
new stuff all the time in your relationship, things that you never thought you'd have to deal with.
I've never been able to clear hurdles. I'm too fat. I just run into them.
Well, and so I will say something that Sean and I have done couples therapy before. I'm just going to ignore him with his too fat joke. Um, but she had us do this assignment, and it really, I mean, I had already addressed this in my own therapy sessions, but like I never addressed it in the relationship side of things. She had given us an assignment, and the assignment was like, write down 3 things that you're in charge of, 3 things that your spouse is in charge of, and then you had to write 3 things that you want your spouse to like be in charge of and you to not be in charge of. And my answers were much more in depth, and like I just remember Smacky looking at me and being like, "Oh, you really try, like you really did the assignment." And I was like, "No." And it was that recognition that his perspective is one thing and mine was vastly different from his, and I think it was an eye opener for both of us. And we were both like, "Oh shoot."
She broke down every minute detail where I was like, taking care of the boys.
I think that's the difference too between kind of like genders too. Is like it says, wives tend to overanalyze anything. My husband's like, I'm dumb and simple. Just tell me simply what you want. Don't make me guess, and don't be like this. Nothing, I'm fine. He's like, don't tell me that. If you say nothing, I'm fine, then I'm gonna leave you at your word. You're nothing and you're fine.
Yeah.
If you want something, you tell me what you want. Don't play games with me. And I tell him the same thing. Don't play mind games with me. Just if you want something, just tell me. Don't manipulate me, and don't play these stupid fucking games. Just tell me what you want.
Yeah.
I can't guess.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah,
read
and
your
that's what
damn
it comes
mind.
down to. Well, and that's just it. You forget sometimes, oh, well, they really can't read my mind, or oh, their perspective is different. So what I'm thinking in my head is probably not what they're thinking in their head, and we have to figure out how to get on that same wavelength. And I think that oftentimes is the missing piece that people struggle with.
Yep, that's for sure. So, yeah, a lot of everything that we're talking about, it does seem to keep coming back to that communication.
Well,
Yeah.
I just Googled the top reasons for divorce, and it spit out probably 15 reasons.
Kids,
Uh,
finances, and communication.
it comes down to
Cheating
getting
too.
married too young, which is a communication thing, and immaturity, financial problems, and then essentially feeling heard by the other party. So communication again. But it has like 15 things listed. But if you read through them, it's all back to communication and, you know, working together versus, you know, I'm going to do it this way, right, wrong, or indifferent, and they're going to have to deal with it.
And I just want to put a disclaimer out. None of us are like therapists or anything, and this is just our experiences. So don't feel like, oh, well, great. that we're not judging or saying that this is what you need to do. We're just saying this is what has worked in our marriages.
Yeah, and you can see we're different people and different, but I mean, you have to communicate, and you're gonna go through hard times. And you stick it out together.
And if you only spend $200 on a ring, you can buy her 4 or 5 different rings, and she'll still be happy.
I have
Ask
a
me how
purple
I
one
know.
now, just so we're clear.
I would say focus more on your marriage than on your wedding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Material items
You-
are replaceable, but your memories are not.
But I have a fun little game for us. If anyone's ready, I
Alright.
got some would you rather wedding questions.
Yes.
Some are kind of stupid and some are kind of hard. So the first one,
I like
would you
it
rather
hard.
be engaged for 5 months or 5 years?
I bet you do.
I mean, I've already done the 5 month thing. Well, it was like 8 months. So let's go with 5 years this time. Why not?
Oh, hell no.
It gives
If
you
I'm
time
with
to
you
save up
5
for a
years,
wedding, but I would say 5 months for me because just tax reasons alone. I mean, marriage
Oh.
filing,
if you're
jointly,
together
you're gonna
5
get a
years and
better.
you're not married, like you're engaged for 5 years, one of you two is not fully committed.
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh,
Like
okay. Wait a minute. Sorry. I was thinking like, I don't know. I was thinking like dating for 5 years and then never mind. No, I'm with you. 5 months.
Still.
5 months.
Still, you're dating for 5 years and one of the two of you hasn't made that step forward to, hey, let's go to the next level. One of the two, if not both of you, are heading in different directions, or there's just something not working out. If in 5 years you haven't figured out how to make things work together, you might want to walk out the door and say, you know what, I'm going to start over
reevaluate.
because this obviously ain't going to work.
And
My
sometimes
thought
it works
process-
for some people. Some people
Yeah, I
don't
was
want to
gonna
get
say.
married.
True.
I
They
think
just
so.
want to look at. Go ahead.
No, we're like, wait. What? I was just gonna say, I think some people just wait that long because they're like that whole ring thing. That is a perfect example of why sometimes I've heard like, oh well, my husband couldn't afford to get the ring that he wanted to get me, so he like was upfront and honest, was like, I want to get married, but I can't get you the ring that I want to get you yet, so I'm not proposing until I can.
Well, and
Damn.
I have friends that met, college time frame, and they both wanted to finish up their degrees and finish up college. Fully understand that.
Yeah.
But they've openly had that conversation about
Right.
moving forward at X milestone.
Yeah.
So
That's kind of a whole different scenario though, because that's it's two people in college trying to finish up their education, get their career started before committing to a relationship, possible kids, because we know that kids can change your whole direction in life. You start off thinking you got a career going, next thing you know, wah, comes out and it's brakes are put on, careers are flushed down the toilet, you're scrubbing somebody's toilet, and you're making $12 an hour versus you should be making $50 or $60 an hour. But so I can understand why some two people or three people or four people, whatever it is, in college are trying to figure out how to in the future end up together. But in a just everyday relationship where you're both working full-time jobs, you're both living two separate homes, you're both having two separate lives, and for 5 years you're not making any progress, that might be something to reevaluate where do we stand, or is this our future, and do either one of you, and some people don't want to get married, like Melissa says, some people don't want to get married, they're okay with just dating and the way their life is.
Vaughn and Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
They've been together for 35 years and they're not married.
Yeah. But they live together too. And they make a lot of money.
But for me, I do 5 months. I wouldn't do 5 years. That's just my personal. But hey, everyone's got their own. Here's an interesting one. I think this is more of a woman thing, though. Would you rather someone else wear a white dress or someone else could propose to at your wedding?
I think I'd rather get someone else get proposed to at my wedding. I feel like that would be such a special, so long as they've done it like in a respectful way, like
If
not
they
during the
ask.
middle. Even if, I mean, yeah, definitely ask, but like as long as you're not doing it in the middle of the ceremony, I feel like it can be a really beautiful moment.
didn't that come up on the radio the other day?
I think it did.
Oh, did it? Yeah. Because I know if you ask them first, but don't just do it at someone's wedding, but you don't wear a white dress to someone else's wedding unless you're like under the age of 10, I
I'm
think.
wearing a
Like,
white
as
suit
a
to the
child.
next wedding I go to.
Although I
Yeah, but
have,
it's really rude to do that.
I was gonna say I've seen a lot of there's some people that do like a black and white wedding as the
Well, if it's
theme. I'm like, that's
specified,
yeah.
like it's specified, like I heard a story about this lady. She knew her new mother-in-law was going to wear a wedding, like a really pretty white wedding dress to her wedding to upstage her, which one that just makes you look like an asshole.
Hmm.
But so she called everybody on this line, told everybody to wear their wedding dresses, and she wore like a black dress to her wedding. So her mother-in-law didn't stand out. She got her
That's
petty
great.
revenge.
That's awesome.
But
There's
yeah,
a
I think you
lot
probably
of
would get
Reddit.
proposed to.
Yeah, there's a lot of Reddit stories out there that we thought about. Eventually, we could step into or something and voice our opinions on. But there are a lot of them out there where the future mother-in-law, of the bride to be, is trying. And what are they called? The mom.
Monster-in-law.
Monster-in-law.
Well, no, it's when the mom loves her son. The mom.
Oh, boy, mom.
Boy mom, yeah, the boy mom, where they
Oh,
love
they're
their
weird.
son and they hug their son. They're all about their son. And when he got engaged, they gave, it was about her and her son. And at the wedding, that's what it ends up being. And she wants to make sure she is seen, not the
Jealousy.
Yeah, it's like, I want my
It just makes
day
you look
on
like an
your wedding
asshole.
day. It's like, and they'll do that. They'll purposely wear a white wedding dress on the wedding day just to be seen by everybody else that this is my son's wedding. Look at me, how pretty I am.
It
It's
just
like,
makes you look like an asshole to do that at
yeah,
somebody else's wedding.
why?
So
So yeah, so
As
I would say the proposal.
as a
yeah.
boy mom, I just want to say my only goal is for my boys to have a daughter, or not a daughter, a wife that I can look at as a daughter, and that, or boyfriend, husband, do what you're gonna do. But both of my boys have said to me, no, I like girls. So um, I just want her to be respectful, and I want him to be respectful, and I want her to feel like she's safe and comfortable to come to me. I do not want to be the center of attention. I love my boys to death, but no, if I ever get out of hand like that, Smack, you better smack me in the back of the head and be like,
Horrible
what is
mother-in-law.
happening right
Mama
now?
Holly,
No.
you heard that. You heard that.
Yep, it's all recorded. I have not hit end yet.
Ooh,
Um,
here's an interesting one.
Hold on, I got one for y'all.
Okay.
The money dance. Did you guys do one at your wedding?
Damn right we did.
We did a money dance where people like pin like money. My aunt had a $5 bill. She came and took change off my purse. Off my dress. I'm not even kidding. She took some ones off and she gave me a 5.
I don't.
Yes, we
yeah,
did
you
have a
didn't
money
do it. It was
dance.
just me.
I
Right?
didn't. It was only you. I refused to do it.
I danced with everybody at the wedding. It didn't matter, right, wrong, if different. My best man was up there dancing with me, like back when we were in like 4th and 5th grade, dancing together. Um, I danced with
Sandy,
people I
I
did,
think.
yeah, people I didn't even know. I
Yeah, it's a
gave
tradition.
I gave Jen a lap dance.
The
I
dollar
think,
dance, yep.
I gave Jen a lap dance for like $30 at one point.
My face was red as a tomato.
Yeah, the money dance
So,
I think is so you make money before your honeymoon, so you have money on your
yeah,
honeymoon. It's kind of like the
Mhm.
tradition.
Yeah.
But it was fun. We did it. I don't know if that's still a thing, if people still do it or not.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I know they
I'll
have
have
like
to
little
ask.
pages that you can put cards and money into now and stuff. So I mean, they
Well,
have like
that's
a money tree where you can go put money. I don't know if I trust that. I mean,
well, that's why
depends
I
on who
think
you
a lot
invite
of
to your
people
wedding.
started doing the locked card box because cards were disappearing.
Mm-hmm. It's sad but true.
Yeah, that is sad.
This is an interesting one. Would you rather have all your exes show up to your wedding or all your significant others' exes show up? Hmm.
Mm.
I only had one ex-boyfriend before him, and it wouldn't bother me. I would
I
just
would
not miss them.
rather my significant other's exes show up because I feel like that'll be a fun time. Please
Me
bring
too, because
all
then
the
I can be
crazies
petty, like,
in.
or like, look at me, I'm beautiful in my dress, and you're just over there alone. It's the petty bitch in me. Yeah, I'd say
That would be
I
a
want
lot of
his
Tiffany's in
exes.
one location.
Yeah. I have my reasons. Not that I like most of my exes. Okay, that's a lie. A couple of my exes I am good, like used to be really good friends with. And we mostly ended on good terms, but I still no, I'd rather deal with his exes.
Me too. It's the petty part of me. I'm like, huh, I'm marrying him and you're not.
Although I am convinced one of his exes wanted to like kill me and wear my skin and take my son at one point. It was very very concerning behavior.
What do you think, baby?
Well, first off, none of my exes would dare show up. Um, I mean, if they did, that'd be an interesting thing. If your one ish ex showed up, yeah, that would just be kind of sad for him. It'd be great for me. It'd be like, I stole her from you, you little bitch. um,
Pretty much how I feel. And all my exes, the majority of them are not.
So you'd rather
100%.
my exes show up?
No, I'm saying your exes would be. It is what it is. I only have an issue with one of them, and that one would never show their face anyway. Mine would just be interesting, A, because I would want to see how many showed up, and then B, because they're all crazy. So
I would be curious too if one of them did show up. Only because, and one of my exes, only because of what her sister did. And I am thankful that I got out of that relationship when I did. But that'll be a conversation for.
That's our after show for Patreon.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
after show tea.
That would be a Patreon
We'll
video
tell you that one
conversation after
there's
we
a bunch of
are
legalities
done.
in it that
Yeah.
I don't think we can speak about on here.
Well, it's been made into a show, so I mean,
But still,
I
it's not
can't.
good.
I won't say names. I'll never put their real name out there, but yeah, there are legalities to that whole situation. But I would definitely be curious if how that would work out at my wedding. Uh-oh.
Would you rather your partner forget their wedding vows or your partner say the wrong name during their vows?
Forget the vows.
Forget the vows.
Yeah,
If
if
you
you
say
call
the
me
wrong name.
something else,
Mhm.
I
Say the
just
wrong
turn
name, I'm
around
walking
and
away.
walk away.
Yep, I'm done.
Exactly.
Yep.
I
You ain't
do
saying the wrong
not.
name.
I do not.
me and Barbie were
But thank you
laughing
for the
our
party.
vows.
Yeah, we were.
We didn't do our own vows. We just,
We-
repeat after me.
Yeah, well, that's what we did. But he said so many words at one point that we both forgot. And we were like, wait, what?
Slow down, sir. I'm not that smart.
My ADHD can't hold that many words in at once. Hold on.
I think we're all in agreement. We don't want somebody else saying the wrong name.
No,
Mm-mm.
definitely
Nope.
not.
Nope. Wrong
Would you
name,
rather-
wrong tane.
Would you rather catch your significant other cheating the day of your wedding or get left at the altar?
Left at the
Either
altar.
Leave
one.
me at the altar, bitch. Just leave me
Either-
at the altar. I'll party
either
with
one, the
everybody.
wedding's
like,
over.
Yeah.
But this way, if we get left at the altar, I still have the party and my friends to cry on. But if I find somebody cheating, it's going to end in bloodshed.
There can still be a party.
Oh, there'd be a
Not
bloodbath
if I'm
party.
in prison. I mean, I guess everybody
was
else
gonna
can
say,
sit there and party, but I'm not
there'll be a
going to be
police
carted
party.
away.
There'd be a whole different
Yeah.
set of lights going off.
Yeah, I'd rather be left at the altar. I mean, as much as it sucks, I don't think it sucks as much as being cheated on.
No.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a hard one, huh? It's like,
No,
oh,
that was
I
pretty
don't want
easy.
either one of those to happen to me. But if I had to choose one, I'd rather be left at the altar than find out my spouse is cheating on me, especially
Yeah.
the day of my wedding.
Well, it's better to find out the day of instead of the day after.
You can still get an annulment day after.
As long as you didn't say yes before it happened. But yeah, you can still do the annulment.
I told Barbie I wasn't going to say I do. I was going to say I reckon because I do's ruin relationships. But my best man talked me out of it.
Because he was smart.
I reckon you
Dirty
do.
Ones are not necessarily marriage. Would you rather? But I have a couple dirty ones. Would you rather give up sex or food?
I
What-
would rather.
Is
give up
this a
sex.
survival thing?
I'd rather give up food. I could stand to use those few pounds, but I'd rather give up food if I had to.
Sorry, I like my food way too much, honey.
I don't like food that much.
So you give up food. My husband's like, I give up sex. I'm not giving up my pizza, man.
I be
Over
I
you.
be snacking 24/7. Nope, you cannot.
That's mean. That's just cold.
What would you give up, honey? Sex or food?
I regret this. Sex.
Would you? I'm out.
No, lover, I don't think we know who we married.
Yeah.
You know who you married. I've always been a snacker.
I warned you.
You cannot take the fat kid out of the skinny kid's body. It's just it's there
All
forever.
all the warning signs were there. Before I went in the military, I was fat. Struggled through the military on the overweight program.
Me too.
And then grew into a massive man after the military.
Me too.
Would you rather walk in on your parents having sex or have them walk in on you having sex? Oh, neither. I guess them, because at least, I'd be embarrassed, but I wouldn't be scarred for life. Have them walk in on me, I guess, because I couldn't get the image of my parents doing
Pass.
it.
Can I pass? I don't like this one.
I've lived one of them.
Yeah,
My
me
parents
too.
listen to this podcast, okay?
I'd rather them walk in on me because I'd be embarrassed, but I'd be mentally scarred if I walked in on my mom and her husband. I would just be, it's the ick factor for me.
I think it would be the parents walking in on me. That way I could high five my wife while I'm doing it. We can still do it.
Would you rather whip or be whipped? Oh, I'm not gonna even go there. That one. Some of these are really, really in depth. Would you rather have sex in the shower or on the kitchen table?
Yeah.
Shower.
Shower's easier to clean up.
Yeah.
I'd be weird, having done Sunday dinner with like my family, going, I just had sex on this table.
Did we wipe this
I don't
off
think I'd do
afterwards?
that.
Why is it so
What?
slippery? Oh shit.
Yeah, I just don't think I'd want to do it on my kitchen table.
Make sure it's a non-porous surface, please.
Boy, these
I
are.
was like, I'm not answering that.
Boy, I think our target audience needs to answer these. This would be interesting.
Yep. Answer down below.
Shower or table, and then the last one I'll leave you with. Would you rather have unbelievable sex that lasted 10 minutes or average sex that lasts an hour?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. I get
Go
sore
big or
after
go
a while.
home.
The audience, let us know. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to know about that much about their sex life.
We tried that whole hour thing. I don't think I make 5 minutes.
But hey, if they got some would you rather questions, these are fun just to kind of see the different points of view and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well,
Would you rather?
I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of wetting out.
Yeah. I came into this, I was like, I don't know if I can talk that much about marriage and weddings.
Turns out you can, huh?
Be surprised what, experience.
Would you rather sleep
Gives
with your
you.
boss or sleep with your father-in-law? Don't
I don't
answer that.
either.
Tell us below.
Boss.
Tell us below.
Boss, sorry.
You don't have
I'm
a
sleeping
boss.
with a boss. Exactly.
Neither.
Nope.
Neither. I'd rather be celibate.
Well, if I had sex with my boss is a man.
That's about
My boss is married, and obviously so is my father-in-law. So they're both married. So
Yeah. Yeah, no.
it's a weird one.
I'm not even answering because it doesn't make sense
I
to me.
am my boss, so
That's right. I work for myself.
or at least I used to until I got attacked by the dog.
That would be. I'd rather have sex with my boss because I'm my own boss. So there you go.
Well, BBG, why don't you just go ahead and close this out? I have nothing
He's
to
like,
say
I don't
after
want
that.
to touch this with
Are
a
we
10-foot pole. Are we live?
Well,
We got turtles and bags here, ladies.
did-
Turtles and bags.
did I push start? I think I pushed start. Well, if I didn't push start, I'm about to push stop. Yeah, I think we done nailed this wedding to a certificate on the wall, and put it in place where it belongs. So hopefully we answered some of your questions and gave you some ideas of if you're getting ready to get married or thinking about getting married, or I don't know. We put a lot on the table to think about and to talk about, and definitely have those conversations. Like we said, sit down with your significant other and make sure that everything is kosher, and you're ready to take that step. 'Cause it's a big step. So, with that being said, we're going to end it right here. 2 couples, 1 podcast, and we'll see you guys right back here. And if you are a Patreon, stay tuned because we're going to have some more crazy stuff to talk about that we couldn't talk about here. So, with that being said, have a good night. Peace out.
Peace.